again, guys, I'm back with some more Betty and Barney stories. Okay, they were known to be the ones who were the first abducted people in the United States, according to them. Obviously, they made these claims that something happened to them upon coming home from a vacation that they had in Canada. So they were coming home to New Hampshire. And that's when the incident took place. However, there's some things that I kind of doubt in a way. And you guys must forgive me. But like I said, if I'm right about something, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And when I'm going to tackle these stories, I'm going to tell you whether they are really sound believable or that they sound just, plain fiction. This story does sound believable. However, let me give you a couple examples that kind of raises a couple red flags. Because, common sense, if you had an incident like this happening to you, fear would be one of the biggest thing, of course, because you don't understand their technology or you don't know what they're going to do to you. So, fear would be the first thing that anyone would feel. Okay? If you listen to the sessions that they both had, supposedly they were separated. Okay, and there was this doctor, Benjamin, I'm sorry, guys. Benjamin Simon. Okay, he was the one that did this session with both of them. If you notice, the sessions they seem similar, but a little different. Because, of course, when identifying the object, Betty says it was a UFO. Barney, however, says it's an airplane. So, he knows what an airplane is. And of course, Betty knew what an airplane is. So if you listen carefully, you'll notice he's saying, during being hypnotized, he's saying that his wife was trying to make him believe that what he was looking at was a UFO. And he said he was getting a little agitated, basically upset, because she kept making him try to believe that he saw a UFO when he actually saw a plane. But then, of course, that changed later on. But anyways, what I want to say is that on one instance, she mentioned something about having a conversation with the only one, which they say that they called the leader, okay, because they didn't know whether he was the leader or he was the interpreter. And she manages to say that she had a conversation with him. The only thing that I don't understand is she had this conversation with him, but yet she didn't ask him, was he the leader? You would think that that's one of the main questions she asked, considering that she thought he's the leader. So and he spoke English, as she said, because he was the only one speaking English. So she was supposed to ask him, was he the leader of that group? But that was not the case, you see, and that's where I raise a flag at also. Whether she knew Howard Menger and all those other guys, George Adamski, George Van Tassel, maybe. And the reason I say maybe is because how could you not know, about the Howard Menger and all these other stories that they're right there and they're all over the newspapers and interviews and radio shows and TV shows. And so it's not that hard for you of that time to have seen it, Again, I'm not saying that the story is a hoax, guys, but I am saying that there are a couple red flags that are in this story as well, and it's almost as if Betty seemed more to be the one who was manipulating this whole thing. That's what it seems to me, that it seems like she was the one, actually trying to create a certain story, because they did say that she did speak about some dreams of some sort before that incident occurred, and another, once again, if you say that the individual spoke English and it was only one and they consider him to be the leader, like I said, they should have asked him, was he the leader of that group? The other red flag for me was of them knowing 9 people. Please forgive me, people, because just look at, please understand what I'm trying to say here, okay? You're entering a spaceship, right, of some considered to be outsiders of this planet. All right? For one, your first thing should be fear, not happiness. All right? Because again, we don't understand and we don't know what they're going to do to us. So then I'm thinking, how were they able to count how many people were there at that particular moment? You know, right now they're trying to experiment on you. So how is it that you were able to count all of them at that particular moment? So all of a sudden they knew that there was 9 members. What if there were more than 9 members in that spaceship? You see what I mean? So that's what I mean. That's another red flag for me right there, because I just think that that's, how can you possibly be thinking about how many members they had if you don't even know what they're going to do to you? The other red flag for me that raises, it's basically when she's saying that they were examining them, right? Okay. Humanity has been here, right, that we know of, for hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of years, right? So what I don't understand is, how can some advanced beings, as we consider them to be, right, because we still don't understand, you know, certain things, if, you know, if they're really out there, because of course I do believe they exist as well as many others do, and you guys out there. But what I really don't get is, why would they need to continue experimenting on men or women if they've been here already on Earth so many times? So we're talking about a technique that they probably could have been doing hundreds of years. Don't you think they would already understood what the human body is all about? How it works, male and female? You know, because we're talking about an advanced race. Clearly they understand genetics, you know, scientist stuff. You know, I don't think that these advanced races are stupid when it comes to these things, because if we consider them to be more advanced than we are, you better believe that they understand mathematics, everything, right? But yet people are gonna keep thinking that it's all about them putting you on a somewhat bed and they're gonna be experimenting on you. But that doesn't make sense to me at all. I mean, it makes sense to me if you say that it happened hundreds of years ago and they did that when they were first trying to figure out how the human, you know, body works. But to say that they continually do that today, you know, it's more like saying that they're kind of stupid if they haven't figured out the human body yet. You know, it just, that's how it sounds to me, like, you know, guys, I'm sorry, but it does seem that way to me. And that's where I raise a red flag. You know, another thing is, they got married in Camden, New Jersey in May. Okay, May 12th, 1960. Why they went to New Jersey, I have no idea. I gotta look more into that, whether they lived in New Jersey for a little bit, you know. But like I said again, Betty seemed to be some type of woman that was already into the UFO alien phenomenon. That's what it seemed to me, okay? And if you notice, under hypnosis, her husband, Barney, says he didn't believe in none of that stuff. You know, so I mean, I don't know. We can also think whether that session was real at all. Okay, because I don't know if that session was really real. You know, I mean, I wish we were able to have cameras at that particular time, you know, video cameras to have recorded the session. But it's only an audio, you know, so it's kind of difficult about these situations that we're just going to believe. I don't know, but again, you guys got to forgive me, but I am just, like I said, it's too many red flags that is directing me towards another hoax. even though they do seem believable. I mean, Barney was in the military. How convenient, right? World War II veteran, kinda. I don't know. It's like a lot of things are weird because when you really think about it, all these people that had these so-called experiences are tied to the military somehow, some way. Were they part of an experiment of the government? Maybe. You never know. They probably were part of an experiment. Another one of those, let's see how the general public reacts. If we bring this over here, Again, I am troubled by those type of methods and techniques simply because, again, I believe that we as humanity, right, we all are ready. We're ready because it's not like saying we're going to be afraid. Maybe some people would, but I mean, come on. I think that people today are far past that stuff already. That's what I believe. So it won't be no surprise to any of us if they say, hey, guess what? We have beings that come from different galaxies and star systems, and they're here to help us. Okay, we're not surprised, right? But yeah, guys, I mean, if this story seemed real, I would have basically told you that it's, it does sound believable, again. And that's the when you detail these people of how they were, he was a postal worker, she was a social worker for children, and of course, that's where it all comes into play, where they say these good-going folks, right? Just like Howard Menger was a good-going guy, right? He was a sign painter. His wife at the time, Connie Menger, that is, she was a journalist. Then we can, I mean, come on. Come on. I know this story, again, it's up to you guys out there to believe whether this story is real or just plain fiction, just like any other stories that came out after, the Menger story, so you decide. I'm just telling you my opinion of what I have gathered so far from this story, and maybe someone can correct me. But again, wouldn't you ask this so-called extraterrestrial questions, the one that speak in English, right? Wouldn't you ask him for his name? Wouldn't you ask him, is he the leader of that group since, since they were the ones that gave them those type of, they detailed them as the leader, one as the examiner, and then the other one as the crew. I would ask him for his name. Then if you noticed, there was different descriptions because under hypnosis, Barney is giving you the typical bald-headed alien while with a cap on. He said they looked at like Nazis or something, with what appears to be small cap-like stuff and then like a little small suit jacket or something. And he described it as being black, but so I don't know. Because his wife Betty at the time gave a different description, and she, as you guys see, she had a molded, later on, of course, she molded this, what appears to be this alien who she calls Junior, and he has no hat on his head. I mean, you would think that they have seen the same thing, right? I don't know. Then, at one point, this is another red flag for me, okay? Kinda, because in one instant, Barney said that they were speaking somewhat telepathically with him. But she said that that was not the case at all. She said that they were speaking directly, by verbal command, talking. And that's how she said she was talking with the leader. Well, as, the guy, the one she mentioned as the leader. Who, of course, she didn't ask the question whether he was the leader, but yet she managed to conversate with him about food and some other stuff. You guys decide. I don't know. For me, like I said, it's that's part of the method that a lot of people are going to use. They want to use that method where you're going to believe. Because of course, in order to get your attention, you have to portray something as so real that the people cannot doubt it. And that's what I'm talking about. For this story, that's what it seemed. Okay, it just seemed like more like Betty was more into it than her husband. Or maybe he was into it, but pretending like he wasn't. Because that's a possibility as well. Okay? And not only that, but I'm thinking that the so-called guy, the doctor who was doing these sessions, I'm saying that he was probably part of it as well. To give them, of course, validation, to give more people validation that it's real. Oh, this doctor that was in the military and he had a good technique and he was able to do this for other people. So he did it for these people and he's confirming that it validates their claim. See what I mean, guys? See what I mean? That's the part where, there's another red flag because, for one, you shouldn't have used anyone associated with the government in terms of being in the military as well, because that didn't seem right to me. Yes, I know they saying that, race, and there was a big racial situation back in those times. Just like in the Howard Menger times, of course, which that explains why there were no black people sitting in Highbridge, New Jersey. But this is not what we're talking about. For me, it's more like they were both in on a trick. Because you never know. Sometimes some people are in a financial, situation where they don't know what to do and, their backs are to the wall. So they have to come up with something, right? I don't know. You guys can decide. I mean, I know I saw the thing about the dress, and she said that she have sent a piece of the dress to be analyzed in some lab, and I don't know. But then you got books being written about this story. And see, that's what I'm saying, guys. It always leads to these books coming out. It always leads to these lectures and interviews for money. See what I'm saying? For money at the end of the day. Yes, I understand that money, you can't survive in America or any other place for that matter because money is the way of life, I guess, right, people? I'm just voicing my opinion here. I'm not asking you guys to throw me a couple dollars on my PayPal, so I can give you more of this information. No, this information is free. Free. And because I believe that we all deserve the truth, okay? We all deserve the truth. Maybe for me doing this video, maybe I have woken someone up. Maybe I gave somebody the idea, okay, of asking that same question. Why this, why that? For me, that would be good, because again, look at the experiences that they had, yet they somewhat contradict each other. Okay? Husband and wife almost contradict each other. The story does sound similar, but again, I mean, he said that they spoke to him telepathically. She said they spoke to her verbally, to them. Okay? Then there's an instant where he talks about coming out with the car. He talks about coming out, with the dog. Okay? Darcy, I guess the dog's name is. He puts the collar on the dog. He brings the dog out the car. But at that particular moment, he didn't mention anything about being taken at that particular moment. See what I'm saying? So a lot of things have changed, throughout the whole story. It's changed throughout the whole story. Well, you guys gonna have to give me your opinions. What do you like? Whether this is true or not, you guys decide. You guys decide. Alright, so if you like, hit the like button or the dislike button. Give me an opinion. And I'll get back to you guys.